Your phone works fine. You still want the new one. Nobody lied to you. Hey, I'm Stan, engineer veteran. I learned money on the south side of Chicago and then in school, street and school. Here's what that habit actually costs. It starts at a kitchen counter after midnight.
Nate was standing at his kitchen counter a little after midnight, thumb hovering over a glowing checkout button, about to spend more than $400 before tax on a new phone. 6 inches to the left, face up on the counter, sat his current phone. Charged, unlocked, working perfectly. He had just used it to watch the announcement of its replacement. He couldn't name a single thing it failed to do. It sent every text. It took every photo. It ran every app he opened that day. 24 hours ago, he liked this phone. Nothing about it changed overnight. Something about him did. He tapped by. He spent the weekend moving his life from one glass rectangle to another. And by Monday morning, the new phone felt exactly like the old phone. The feeling wore off before the recycling truck took the box. The old one went in a drawer, still working. Like a tool he'd fired for no reason. There's a name for what happened to Nate at that counter. It's called the upgrade illusion. The trick where a device you were happy with yesterday starts feeling inadequate today. Not because it got worse, but because something newer now exists next to it. The device didn't change. The picture beside it did. And here's how to picture the whole thing. Owning modern tech is like standing on a treadmill, and somebody else's hand is on the speed dial. Your phone never slows down. The belt under it speeds up. And every so often, you buy a new pair of shoes so you can keep standing in the exact same spot, running hard. Distance covered, 0. Keep that treadmill in your head, because somebody's hand is on that dial, and it isn't a villain's. First, understand how few people are standing off the belt. 90% of American households own a smartphone. 95% own at least one computing device. That's the Census Bureau's American Community Survey, not a guess. Walk your house right now and count every screen with a battery in it. The phone, the laptop, the tablet, the watch, the earbuds, the one in the junk drawer you keep meaning to sell. Every single one of them was sold to you as a one-time purchase. Not one of them was. Because here's the thing about the device in your hand. The device was never the product. The connection is. Let's watch it build. The average American household spends about 1.3% of its income. An income of about $104,000 a year, gross, before taxes. On cell phone service alone, in dollars, that's about $113 a month. Call it $1,360 a year. Now here's the number that should stop you. The same average household spends about $113 a year on the phones and accessories themselves. That's the Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Expenditure Survey. $113 a month for the connection. $113 a year for the hardware. Same number, different clock. You spent a week agonizing over which storage size to get. You compared cameras. You read reviews. And the bill that was 12 times bigger, the one that arrives every month forever, never got a second look. The phone cost 1 month. The plan cost 12. Now widen the lens, because the phone is only one lane of the belt. Add the home internet. Add the audio and video equipment and everything you pay to run it. Together, the average household's connected stack runs about 3% of income before taxes, roughly $3,100 a year, call it $260 a month. For comparison, that same household puts about $2,400 of gas in its cars and spends about $2,000 on clothing for every person under its roof. Same survey, same year of receipts. The screens now cost more than the gasoline, more than everybody's clothes combined. And notice what your own flinch reflex already knows. Nobody has ever driven past a gas station sign without wincing at it. Nobody has ever winced at the internet bill. One number is posted on a corner in letters 2 feet tall. The other slides out of your checking account in the dark. So that's the belt. Now for the hand on the dial. The 3 quiet mechanisms that keep you buying new shoes. And one thing has to be clear before the first one. Nobody in this story lies to Nate. Not once. No villain, no conspiracy, no shadowy boardroom. Every mechanism here works with the truth. It just works on wiring that all of us carry. The first mechanism is the word obsolete. Remember that word. It's going to detonate later. Because here's what obsolete actually means in an American household. The average family spends about $12 a year repairing its computers, televisions, and sound equipment, and about $266 a year buying new ones. That's the Consumer Expenditure Survey again. $1 spent fixing for every 22 spent replacing. Roughly 4 cents on the dollar. Think about the last time you lived this. The battery starts dying. You look up the repair. The quote is half the price of a brand new one. And standing there, you already know how the story ends. That is not your device failing. That is arithmetic that was built for you. And your brain doing exactly what brains do with arithmetic like that. Obsolete almost never means broken. Obsolete means not worth fixing. Two very different funerals. The second mechanism is sitting in your house right now, and it's the single best piece of evidence there is. The drawer. Only about 38.5% of the consumer electronics Americans discard actually get recycled. The EPA tracks this, which means roughly 3 out of every 5 pounds of our old tech never even makes it out the door. It goes in the drawer. Open yours tonight and take inventory. The old phone. The tangle of chargers for devices you no longer own. The tablet holding 4% battery like a grudge. And ask yourself the only question that matters. Why did you keep them? You kept them because they still work. That's the entire illusion in one sentence. They still work. And you replace them anyway. The third mechanism is the most gentle looking, which is exactly why it's the most dangerous. The new shoes now arrive on borrowed money, dressed up as convenience. 16% of American adults used Buy Now Pay later in a single year. That's the Federal Reserve Survey of Household Economics and Decision-Making. And here's the part that should make you sit still. About 1 in 9 of those users had a Buy Now Pay. Later charge trigger an overdraft or an insufficient funds fee at their own bank. Think about the last time you saw 4 easy payments printed under a price. Be honest, didn't the price feel smaller? That's the wiring again. It wasn't a discount, it was a payment plan wearing a discount's clothes. And for 1 person in 9, the bank charged them a fee for the privilege of feeling it. And I have to be honest with you here, because none of this comes from a mountaintop. I have been Nate at that counter. I have bought a new device while the old one sat there working because the new one existed and the old one suddenly felt tired to me. And the feeling didn't survive the month. 2 weeks in, I honestly could not have told you from the inside which one I was holding. And the old one went in my drawer, still working, next to the chargers. Nobody tricked me. I did the wanting all by myself. Somebody just showed me a picture, and my brain did the rest. That's the trap I'm trying to pull you out of, because I know exactly how quiet it is when it closes. Now, some of you are pushing back right now, and you should. New tech genuinely is better. The chips are faster, the cameras are sharper. Engineers earned those gains, and I won't pretend otherwise. But better on a spec sheet and better in your actual Tuesday are 2 different questions. The text you sent this morning, the directions you followed, the show you fell asleep to. Which of those did your current device fail at? That's the only benchmark that spends your money. And your own drawer already ruled on this. 3 out of 5 pounds of what we discard never even gets thrown away because we can't quite bring ourselves to trash a thing that works. The improvements are real. The need is manufactured. You're not paying for a better Tuesday. You're paying to stop feeling behind. And the feeling was installed from outside. And here's the scariest part. Because the belt doesn't speed up evenly, it speeds up hardest under the people with the least cushion beneath them. Among adults 18 to 29, 47% got help from someone outside their own household to pay an expense in the past year, nearly half. And money for the cell phone bill was one of the most common forms of help, right alongside housing. That's the Federal Reserve's own household survey. Sit with that list. Rent, groceries, phone bill. A line item that did not exist a couple of generations ago now stands next to keeping a roof overhead, and parents are wiring money to cover it. And underneath all of it, one number splits the whole country in two. 63% of American adults could cover a $400 surprise expense with cash or its equivalent. 37% could not. A replacement flagship phone clears $400 before tax. So for more than a third of adults, an upgrade and an emergency are the exact same transaction. Same amount, same account. The only difference is whether you chose the timing. And on the treadmill, the timing was never yours. The release calendar chose it. Your wiring confirmed it. So here's the turn, and it's on you and me, not on any company. You probably see yourself as reasonable about technology. not a fanatic. You keep things a sensible while. You upgrade when it feels like time. But look at where the feeling comes from. You did not wake up dissatisfied with your phone. You watched an announcement, or a review, or a friend's new camera, and the dissatisfaction arrived afterward. The wanting came from outside. That's not weakness, and it's not a scheme. It's just how people are wired. We notice the newer thing. We measure ourselves against the person next to us. We always have. Marketing didn't invent that wiring. It just learned the schedule. And here's the empowering part. This only works while it's invisible. A trap you can see is a trap you can step around. Every time, from now on, that a working device suddenly feels old, you'll know the feeling was delivered, not discovered, and you can hand it right back. So here's how you step off the belt. 4 moves, in order. 1. Measure your device against your Tuesday, not against the announcement. Before any upgrade, name the specific thing your current device cannot do that your actual life requires. Not slower. Cannot do. If you can't finish that sentence, the upgrade isn't yours. It's the calendar's. 2. Run the 12-month math once. Open your carrier app, take the monthly total, multiply by 12, and set it next to what you actually paid for the phone. Then stack on the internet bill and every streaming line on your card, and set the pile next to your gas receipts. Your number will be your own, but now it's a number, not a feeling. 3. Get the repair quote before the replacement quote, and in that order. Remember the ratio. This country fixes at about 4 cents on the replacement dollar. A battery that buys your phone 2 more years is the cheapest device you will ever own. Refuse to let the word obsolete stand in for the words not worth fixing. 4. Set your replacement rule by need on your calendar, not the release calendar. When the device truly cannot do what your life requires, that's the day, not the day the keynote airs. Your hand goes on the dial. And whatever the upgrade would have cost you this year, put it somewhere that compounds instead. New shoes keep you in place. Invested money actually moves. Nate never ran any of this math. That's the whole tragedy of him, and it's a quiet one. Nobody lied to him. Nobody picked his pocket. He stood in his kitchen at midnight with a working phone 6 inches from his hand, paid $400 to feel caught up, and felt it for a weekend. And when the next announcement airs, the belt under him will speed up again, and he will reach for his wallet again, buying shoes forever to stand still. Which leaves you standing exactly where he stood, thumb over the button. And there's a fork there. You can keep doing what Nate did. Let the release calendar pick your timing. Buy the new shoes every time the belt hums, feed the drawer, and run hard in place while the monthly bills do all the actual moving. Or you can put your own hand on the dial. Measure against your Tuesday. Fix what's fixable. Take what the upgrade would have cost and put it somewhere that compounds. Because the treadmill only counts your miles, and off the belt, they finally go somewhere. If you're taking the second path, it starts tonight, at the drawer. Open it. Find the oldest device in your house that's still doing its job and put it in the comments, what it is, and roughly how old. That drawer is your own proof that nothing in it was ever really obsolete. And if this put a number on something you'd only ever felt, that little itch when the new one gets announced, the like button is how that signal gets through, and it tells me to make more like this. If nobody's ever shown you the receipts on the belt before, subscribe, so the next set finds you before the next checkout does. Your phone is fine. The one in the drawer is fine too. You were never behind. The belt was just moving. Keep what works, step off, and invest the difference. Same effort, solid ground. Watch how far it takes you. Let's lock in what actually matters here. 1. The device never changed. The picture beside it did. 90% of American households own a smartphone, and 95% own at least one computing device. That's the Census Bureau. Every single one of them was sold as a one-time purchase, and not one of them was. 2. The device was never the product. The connection is. The average household spends about $113 a month on cell service, and about $113 a year on the phones themselves. Same number, different clock. The phone costs 1 month. The plan costs 12. 3. Widen it out, and the whole connected stack runs about $3,100 a year, roughly 3% of income before taxes. That is more than the gasoline in the cars, and more than the clothing for everybody under the roof, combined. Nobody has ever winced at the internet bill. 4. Obsolete almost never means broken. American households spend about $12 a year repairing electronics against $266 buying new ones. Roughly 4 cents on the dollar. And only about 38.5% of our old electronics get recycled, which means the rest are in a drawer, still working. That drawer is the proof. 5. 4 moves, and you're off the belt. Measure your device against your actual Tuesday, not against the announcement. Run the 12-month math once so the bill becomes a number instead of a feeling. Get the repair quote before the replacement quote, and set your replacement rule by need on your own calendar, not the release calendar. Then take what the upgrade would have cost and put it somewhere that compounds. Because 63% of adults could cover a $400 emergency and 37% could not, and a new flagship phone clears $400 before tax. For more than a third of us, an upgrade and an emergency are the same transaction. Then take what the upgrade would have cost and put it somewhere that compounds.